In 1943, Polish soldiers in Iran bought a bear cub from a shepherd boy. They paid a Swiss Army knife and some canned food. They named him Wojtek, a Polish name meaning joyful warrior. He drank their beer, he ate their cigarettes, he learned to salute. When the army refused to allow animals on the ship to Italy, the men officially enlisted him as a private, giving him his own paybook and serial number. At Monte Cassino, he carried 100-pound ammunition crates through artillery fire, and he never dropped one. He was promoted to corporal. His face became a military emblem, and when the war ended, nobody knew what to do with him. This is the only bear ever officially enlisted in a national army. Hamadan, Iran, April 8, 1942. The convoy of Polish soldiers rolled in, weary from months on the move. These men had come out of Soviet camps, carrying what little they owned, a few battered uniforms, a handful of rations, and a stubborn will to keep going west. In the dust of the local market, a shepherd boy stepped forward. He held a burlap sack. Inside, a bear cub, tiny, orphaned, blinking up at the world. The boy's offer was simple. For a Swiss Army knife, a few tins of beef, and a bar of chocolate, the bear would be theirs. No one hesitated. The trade was made, hands shook, and the cub was lifted out, paws flailing. The soldiers gathered around, grinning. They named him Wojtek, which means joyful warrior in Polish. He was hungry. They fed him condensed milk from a vodka bottle. He slept curled up against boots and backpacks. At night, he whimpered for his mother. By day, he stumbled after the men, tripping over his own feet. Some of these soldiers had lost everything, homes, families, even their country. Now, in the middle of war, they found themselves responsible for a creature even more lost than they were. Wojtek became theirs, not a mascot, not a pet, but something else. A living secret, shared only by the men who had carried him out of Hamadan. He was a promise that, even in exile, something unexpected could still belong to them. As the convoy moved west, so did the bear. There was no plan for what he would become. For now, there was only the road, the men, and a cub who would grow into legend. Egypt, 1943. Wojtek grew into camp life with the same clumsy determination he'd shown on the road. The soldiers built him a feeding bottle from a vodka flask and a rag for a teat. He drank condensed milk, then moved on to whatever the men had, fruit, honey, even cigarettes, which he ate rather than smoked. Every morning, Piotr Prendis, himself a survivor of Siberian exile, coaxed the bear to sit, to raise a paw, to carry empty crates. Wojtek learned to march alongside the column, to wrestle gently with the privates, to salute for treats. The men recorded these small victories in their diaries, half in disbelief, half in pride. Some stories filtered back to headquarters. One entry, dated autumn 1943, described how Wojtek wandered into the showers and cornered a stranger, a local caught scouting the camp. The intruder surrendered, terrified by the bear's bulk. The officers, amused and grateful, joked that Wojtek had earned himself unlimited access to the showers and an extra ration of beer. The tale became part of company lore, told and retold in letters home and late-night conversations. Officially, it was entered in the unit diary as proof that the bear was more than a mascot. He was a working part of the company. When orders came to ship out for Italy, a new problem surfaced. British naval rules barred animals from troop transports. The 22nd Artillery Supply Company would not leave Wojtek behind. Officers gathered in the tent, paperwork spread across the table. They drew up enlistment papers, assigned him a serial number, and issued a paybook. The signatures sealed it. Wojtek became Private Wojtek, 22nd Company, Polish 2nd Corps. On the roster, he was a soldier, legal, documented, and ready for war. The absurdity was official. The bond, unbreakable. May 1944. The ground at Monte Cassino shook with the weight of artillery. The 22nd Artillery Supply Company moved ammunition through the dark, up narrow paths, slick with mud and fear. Every crate mattered. Each one held 4 25-pounder shells, packed tight, 45 kilograms,
nearly 100 pounds. It took 4 men to carry a single box. The company moved crate after crate, night after night, under fire. By the end of the campaign, they had delivered 17,000 tons of ammunition. That number is hard to imagine. The work was endless, the danger constant. Wojtek watched the men, learned from them, and then did what he saw. He stood on his hind legs, wrapped his arms around a crate, and hauled it from truck to gun position. No special treatment, no tricks. Just a bear carrying what the others carried, walking upright through the noise and the smoke. Soldiers swore he never dropped a box. Some said he seemed to know when the shells were needed most, appearing beside the gun crews at the worst moments. John Audzi, a supply corporal, remembered seeing the bear's broad back ahead of him in the dust and chaos. He wrote in his diary that he worked like the rest of us, maybe harder. The men joked that Wojtek was the only one who never complained, but the truth was quieter than that. In a place where everything could be lost in a single shell burst, the sight of a bear carrying ammunition was both impossible and necessary. For a few hours at least, it made the work feel lighter. After Monte Cassino, the company gathered for a roll call. The officers, stiff in their uniforms, read out a new order. Wojtek was promoted, not as a joke, but as a matter of record. He was now Corporal Wojtek, his name written in the company logs alongside the men. The promotion came with no ceremony, just a nod and a line in the book. But it meant something. In a world where everything could be taken away, here was a bear who had earned his place. The men wanted more than stories. They wanted something to last, so they drew an emblem, a bear upright carrying an artillery shell. The design was simple, almost childlike. It was stenciled on the trucks and painted onto helmets. It became the badge of the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. Soldiers sent letters home with the bear and shell pressed into the wax. The symbol traveled farther than any of them could have imagined. Wojtek's promotion was not a trick, it was a recognition. He had carried the same weight, walked the same ground, faced the same guns. The officers signed the papers. The company adopted the emblem. From that point on, every supply run, every convoy, every battered vehicle bore the mark of a bear who was, by every official measure, one of them. The legend was now part of the record. The story of a bear and his men, written into the Army's own history. Victory brought no homecoming. The border that once defined Poland now belonged to someone else. Soviet command controlled the land the soldiers had left behind. Letters from London and Warsaw crossed desks and disappeared into silence. The British offered a camp in Berwickshire, Scotland, a place called Winfield. It was not a return, only a waiting room. The soldiers faced a choice: risk being used as propaganda in a country they no longer recognized, or stay in exile, strangers in someone else's peace. Wojtek's fate hung on the same wires. The men who had carried him through war could not take him back. They had to let him go. Wojtek remembered, honored in statues and veteran stories. A bear once carried ammunition through the chaos at Monte Cassino. Today, his paw print sits in the archives of war. In a world that still invents rules to make sense of the senseless, the strangest stories remind us, belonging can appear where no one expects it. Let me know your thoughts below.